The agenda for this video is to understand HTTP status codes, right? When we have an integration between two or more applications, generally we'll have integration to exchange data between one application to another application. Let's take as for this example, I have an application in Salesforce, and there is another application which is in SAP system. Now SAP system is called as client or consumer. The reason is SAP is going to look for resources at the Salesforce end, and it is trying to fetch a response, and it might be processing it in the SAP system, right? So here SAP is called as a client or consumer because SAP's application is going to make initial call to the Salesforce, and it is looking for some response. And with that response in SAP, there are different things that we can do. Like it can be utilized, the data which is written from Salesforce can be utilized to display on the screen, or we can utilize, or it can be utilized for DML operation in the SAP system, right? So when a SAP application is making a call to Salesforce, and Salesforce is called as with different names, you can call it as a server, producer, or a host, and it is going to respond to this request, right? So this response, sometimes what happens is this response might not be might not be the desired one. So this response might not be the desired one. So in that case, what we will do is uh, we have to troubleshoot the response, right? We have to troubleshoot why it is generating this response. So for that, the first step, or the starting point that we will take, is the status codes. So we'll use status codes as a starting point for our troubleshooting. So we have mainly 5 categories of status codes. It starts with 1x. So if you want to see that, you can see in this in the official document. We have, as I said, like we have 5 categories of status codes, which starts with 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x, and 5x. So we'll see some of them. Like I'm just trying to explain, or show you a demo how we will see these status codes, and what exactly each status code mean, right? I'm just going to explain a few of them now. So okay, let's open Postman for understanding this. Okay, so when we are trying to, let's say as for this example, when we are trying to fetch any resources, right? Like resource means it's an Apex class in Salesforce, right? So let's say I have an account table. uh, let's say I have an account table inside the Salesforce, and I am trying to fetch some data available inside this account table, right? So this is my requirement. If this is my requirement, then first thing I have to do is, like, it's a two-step process. So step one is I have to think about authentication, and second step is, once we have done successful authentication, then in the first step, response, or the response for the first step is a access token, or also called as session ID. So once we get the session ID or access token, then we can, with the access token, we can access the resources. We can access the SF resources. So as for this example, resource is something referring to uh, account table in Salesforce, and as for this example, right? So now I have this URL to authenticate, right? So I'm going to use username password auth flow. So in the username password auth flow, this is the URL services auth to token, and in the body tag we will pass these parameters. Username is equal to the username, password is password. Password is a combination of password plus security token. So uh, for example, if you go to this profile, and in the profile, if you are not adding any IP ranges means it's a IPv4 ranges. It starts with 00. 0.0.0 and it ends with 255. So the purpose of this IP ranges is if you add this IP range and your system will never ask for a verification code. And when we are doing any integrations, right, you don't need to get this security token. So this security token is generated from this place my setting code. If you go to my settings, then you'll see here, if you just type here security token, you'll get the security token here. Currently I'll not get security token because uh, for admin user I have for admin user profile I have added IP ranges, full IP ranges I have added. If you want to see that practically, I'll just show you that. Let's say if I go to this, so if you see this IP ranges, I have added full IP ranges. So that is why I'm not able to see any security token, right? So here, if I type security token, it is not generating any security token. But for this integration, for authentication, I'm using a different username for this different user, right? I have not added uh, IP ranges. So I'll be able to generate, if I log in as this particular user, if I log in as this particular user, I can able to generate the security token. So I have generated security token and I'm placing it here. And as for username password flow parameters, the grant type is grant type we have to use next is grant type. Grant type for this value should be password is just a static word, and whatever key values that you are seeing here, it should be case sensitive, right? So you should make sure that you're not you're just following. If it is an uppercase, you're using uppercase word. If lowercase, you're using lowercase word, right? Client secret and client secret and client id. Id is also called as consumer key, and client secret is called as consumer secret. So these things, I've just created a connected app. So I'm just going to the connected app, and from the connected app, so this is my connected app. From the connected app, you will get this consumer key and consumer secret details. Okay, so now I have all these details. I have all these details added in the body tag. So I'm just trying to hit send button. So now you can see a status code as 200. So if it is 200, then it is a success response. So now, like, this is 200, so 200 is for success response. Now we can see that in the response we got the access token. Access token is also called as a session ID. So we got our desired results here. Now by seeing the status code, we can just confirm that we have received our desired results, right? So next thing, so now what might be the different other status codes that we can see as part of this. So now, instead of passing all these parameters in the body tag, what I'm doing is I'm just removing all these parameters from the body tag. Instead of that, I'm going to add the same parameters in the header tag. So now if I try to send the request, so it says that now it returned 400 status code. By seeing the status code, we understand that the response which we received is not our desired response. It's not our desired response. So it says that a grant type is not supported. So sometimes you will see grant type is not supported. This is because when instead of passing the parameters in the body tag, you are passing it into header tag, then you will see as grant type is not supported. So this another in another case also we will see the same error, grant type is not supported and status code is 400. So now let me go back, remove these things. I'm going to body tag again, I am enabling it. Now instead of as I said, password is a combination of password plus a security token. So now I'm just removing the security token and I'm trying to hit this service again. So now again, if you see here, authentication failure, it says that invalid grant. Again we have received 400 bad request. We have received again 400 bad request, and it says that invalid grant and authentication failure. Still the authentication is not succeeded because we are just passing in the password value, we are just passing password. It should be combination of password plus your security token. Now if I pass this, now I got 200 status code as successful, right? So now what we have seen is 200 we have seen, and 400 also we have seen, right? 400 will come uh, when your request is not correct, right? When you are trying to send a request, if your request is not correct, then it will generate 400 status code. So from the client end, you have to check what parameters you are passing. So now I showed you here, right? Initially I was passing in header tag, which is causing 400 error. This is one cause. After that I have removed it from header and I passed in body tag. But again I was getting 400 error because I was not passing complete password. I was just passing only the password value. Instead it should be password plus security token. So after passing this, I got 200 as a success status code, and also I can see it generated our desired response, which is our access token. So I'll just copy this access token. Let me go to another call. So now I have a I have a I have a class design which is a rest class, and this is called as a resource, right? So what actually I'm doing in this class is, if I pass some name to a get method, I am trying to return all the matching account names. That is what I am doing in the get call. Okay. So now this is what the URL for that services apex rest, and the service name is like whatever you are passing in the URL mapping. I've passed it in the I've passed the service name as this, and then this is a parameter inside get call. So I've passed it here. So now for this get call there are two parts. So now we have authentication is successful. We have access token from the initial call. It's a post call, we got access token. By utilizing that access token, I'm going to fetch the account details. So how I'm going to do is, in the header I have to write like the key should be authorization and the value should be bearer, and then the new access token. And you don't need to pass anything in the body, as because this is a get call. So we just need to pass your authentication details in the header, and your parameters. Like for a get call, we are passing specific value, and the system is returning, or the resource is returning based on the parameter, right? So I have passed here, if account name is equal to test, then I want to fetch all the accounts from this service class. So now I am going to hit this send button. Now I have received 200 okay again. So and then I can see the account details here, right? So I'm now here, I'm as per this response I can say that I'm getting the desired results. So now what I'll do is, uh, let's say in the header whatever access token we have, I'm trying to remove some one line. If I try to hit this, then I got here 401 unauthorized error. So 401 is mainly, it says that yours whatever access to, like whatever authentication is not correct. It says that authentication details is not correct. So we have to correct. We should not think about the URL which we are passing here. Instead we should think about what is the access token that we are passing. So or whatever that parameters that we are passing in the header might not be correct. Authentication details might not be correct. So we have to focus on the authentication details. So now, so that is what this 401 is all about. So I'll just close this 401 also. 401 is related to your authentication. When we are trying to access any resource, and in the resource you have to pass your access token. If the access token is invalid, then you'll get 401 related error. So if your authentication is not success, then you will get the 401 error. Now I got successful because I passed here valid access token. So now what else? Like 403, there is another error called 403. 403 means, let's say now I have this service class, right? So this access token is generated from this credentials, right? So this is an integration user. From this credentials I have generated access token. So for with this credentials, this is the profile, this is the profile user, which is part of this user, right? Now here I have a class enable, I have given access to this class, to this profile. So now what I'll do is I'll remove this class from the profile level. I'm removing the class from the profile level. This profile is belongs to our integration user. Now what I'll do, previously I got 200 okay, and I got a valid or desired response. Now I'm trying to hit the same service again. Now if you see, I'll get 403. 403 means like whatever access token you have generated, whatever credentials you have used to generate this access token for this particular user, this service is not available. That is what it says. So you can see the body also, you do not have access to the apex class named my service. What it exactly means is whatever access token you have generated, like whichever user you used for generating access token for that particular user, you do not have access to the class. So 403 means your access token is valid, your access token is valid. With this access token I am trying to search for this resource. When I try to search for this resource means apex class, then I do not have permission to the apex class. So that is what it is saying. So you have, if you receive 403 error, then you should check whether this particular user is having access to this particular resource or not. So now again I'll go back to the profile, I'll go to apex class, I'll give permission to the service. So my service name is my service, right? So this is the class, web service class. I'm giving access to this profile. Previously we received 403 and now I'm just trying to hit it again. Now I got 200. Okay. So this 403 is all about, if you do not have access to the resource, then you'll get 403 error. So next is what? Okay, so the same web service class, in the same web service class I have, in addition to get method, I also have another method called post method. So inside post method, what I'm doing is I'm just creating a case and generating a custom response. uh, okay, so now what I'll do is, so this is my post method. Inside post method I'm trying to insert case record. After that, okay, I'm not calling here this method. Okay, and this method is having a return type as void. Let me save this, let me save this class. Okay, now if I go and, so this is the body that I'm going to utilize. So again I'll utilize the same access token. This access token is still valid. So what I'll do is I'll take this access token, I'll go to post request in the header. So you're passing your authentic access token, and in the body tag we are passing the case related details. So status, origin, subject, these are the three different fields, and I'm passing values to it. So if I try to hit this send request, then what happened is it is not returning any response, but it says that 200 okay. Okay, the reason why it is not responded, the reason why we have not received any response is uh, because here the post method, what I did was I have made as void, and I am not utilizing any response class for returning the response, right? So now what I'll do is i'll just I'll just put this. So I'm preparing a custom response here. So this is how I'm preparing a response: record successfully created, and then the ID value for this, whatever record that is created, that ID value I'm trying to return here. So, and status code I am currently keeping as 200 as status code. Let me save this. If I again go and hit the service, now you can see it is generating a response with the status code is 200. But if a record is created, status code should be 201. So because I'm hard coding here status code as 200, that's why it is returning 200. So instead of that, I'll mark as 201. If record is created, as per the HTTP standard status codes, it should be record created, right? So I'm just changing it to 201, and I'm trying to save my Apex class. Then if I go and hit the service now previously it is 200 status code. Now if I try to hit this service, now it is returning 201 as a status code with the body as this. Now if I go and check with this ID, a new case is created. Let me go to this, duplicate. See, a new case is created here. So it just created today. So this is how, like, now you might be thinking, let's say if I pass some random status code, let's say if I pass 5987, something like this. If I try to pass like this, so this 5987 is not part of this status codes. So when I trying to prepare a custom response, if I pass some invalid status code, invalid means whatever status code not part of this sheet, if you try to pass it, let's see what will happen. So it throws server unavailable. So this status code is incorrect. That is why the service is not responding. That is why we should not pass any random status codes when we are designing a service class. So here I'm creating a record. So to make it clear to the client, I'm giving status code as 201. So by seeing that, like, we are trying to follow industry practices. If you pass here 201, it will be easily understood by the client. So that is why I'm passing 201. Let's hit it. Now you will see that status code is 20. So this is about status code 201. Next is uh, yeah. Next we'll talk about, so next we're talking about 404 status code. So what happens is, like, let's say now this is my service class, right? So let's say in the URL, I'm just trying to, instead of my service, this is my service class name. Instead of that, I'm just removing two words. If I try to hit the service, then I'll get 404, not found. So 404 means authentication is successful, but after authenticating, then this particular class name is not available. It is not able to find this class. 403 means the service might, the class might be there, but you do not have permission. Whereas 404 means uh, the class which you are trying to, like, the service which you are trying to fetch is not available, like it is not there. it's not found in the arg. That is what it is throwing error. So i'll just I'll just make it correct, and then try to hit. I'll be able to see 201. So that is what about 404. So the next is 503. Let's talk about 503. So for example, I have the same service class. I'm just trying to expose through force.com site. So if you are trying to hit through force.com site, you don't need to pass any access token. Like without access token, as I was explaining here, so we have two steps to access any Salesforce resource, right? First is authentication, and the second step is using access token. You'll be accessing the resources. Now, if I want to skip this step one, if I want to skip this step one, there is a possibility that is also possible. If you want to skip this, then what we can do, if you don't want to utilize the step one, then directly, if you directly want to go to this, if you directly want to go to this step two, then what I can do is i can I can go with force.com sites. So now what I did was, I have a force.com site ready here, and in force.com site, again you will have, for a guest, you will have a profile. So here I have a profile, and for this profile, let's see, I'm just enabling the service class. Go to Apex class, my service class. So now for this is a our force.com site related profile. For this profile, I have given access to this service class. Now what I'm trying to do is, so if you want to access the service, then this will be your URL. So let me go to this. uh, instead of this URL, you have to pass this, and also there is a path, beginners, beginners, and Apex services my rest. This remains same. Now if I try, now header is not required. I'm just removing header. We don't need authentication. So I just have in the body tag, I'm passing uh, a key and value. So now if I try to hit the service, you can see 201 record is created. So now what I'll do, so this is the entire path to this is the entire path for force.com site, right? Let me remove this beginners. If I try to hit the service now, I'll get that 503 service unavailable. It says that this entire URL, like this entire with this URL, we are not able to find the my service class. So what do we have to do? Again we have to check what URL we are trying to pass it here. So this is how we have to troubleshoot the request and the response, right? This is what request and this is what response. When we see desired results are not coming, the first step for our troubleshooting should be our status codes. By using the status codes, we have to troubleshoot the integration requests. Yeah, thank you for your time. Please comment your suggestions on the comment box below. Thank you.